Live from WFSB, Connecticut's first choice for news. This is Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 5:30.
First at 5:30 tonight, breaking news out of Middletown, where a water main break in the Westfield area of the city has just been repaired. Good evening, I'm Terzi.
I'm Hallie Jackson. Water crews say a contractor doing some work at the old Aetna building by East Street took out the 8-inch main. People have been reporting cloudy and low water pressure, but that's slowly been coming back on. And
we'll tell you when people can expect to have it totally back on, coming up in a live report at 6, so stay tuned. Now, the story of a cross-dressing bank robber. Caught halfway across the country and now is facing charges here in Connecticut.
Waterbury police extradited the suspect back to our state, and he faced a judge today.
Channel 3 New Haven Bureau Chief Robert Dixon live with the mobile newsroom. He has our story tonight. Robert.
Al and Hallie, yeah, this suspect apparently robbed 2 banks, and in one of the cases, he actually tried to... Zion Webb was in court today wearing men's clothes. Last month, police say the 42-year-old disguised himself in women's clothes when he robbed a TD Bank on West Main Street in Waterbury. Police say he wore this big white floppy hat and a full-length dress with little flowers on it.
Yes, we believe that was his effort to conceal his identity. You know, oftentimes we have bank robbers wear masks or sunglasses and hats to conceal their identity. Certainly this was a first for us, and someone wearing a dress and a hat like this.
This wasn't Webb's only bank robbery plan. He and his new partner, Patrick Good, talked about hitting more than one bank. About a week later, Webb was the getaway driver at a bank robbery at this bank. In that case, he even wrote the note used by his partner to give to the teller. Police had put out this bank surveillance video clip, hoping to generate leads in either of the cases, but the big break came after police pulled over a car soon after that second bank robbery.
2 patrol officers pulled over Patrick Good in a vehicle matching the description of one of the vehicles used in the bank robbery, and he had the mask and some other items in the car and some cash from the bank robbery.
Before police could arrest Webb, he managed to leave the state. Detectives found him in Ohio, staying with family. They brought him back Friday, and he appeared in front of a judge today. Webb has a history of robbing banks, but police say this is the first time he was disguised as a woman, a very poorly disguised woman.
You can clearly see it's a male dressed in a woman's clothing and the hat.
And police believe the 2 are actually stealing cars in Waterbury to carry out some of these bank robberies. Both have been arrested. Webb is being held on $250,000. We are live at the mobile newsroom. Robert Goulson, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Robert. Police are crediting a tip from a concerned citizen with stopping a planned robbery of a cafe in Middletown. Pinpoint News Tracker takes you to the intended target, according to police, the Javapalooza Cafe on Main Street. This is where they say 31-year-old Brian Clark was planning to rob employees at knife point Saturday night. Police say they stationed undercover officers inside as a precaution, but that they found Clark outside wearing black clothing. They say Clark later admitted to officers what he was planning to do.
A man from Farmington faces charges accused of stealing a backhoe and going on a drunken joyride. Police say 22-year-old Adam Bergenti stole the backhoe by using a key he kept from a previous job, then drove it up and down Pinnacle Road last night. They say he knocked over some mailboxes and a few light poles and street signs in the process.
New information tonight on the case of a man who's serving prison time for murdering his wife's grandmother. A judge has rejected the appeal by Richard LaPointe. This was the 3rd time LaPointe lawyers tried to get him a new trial. They claim some DNA evidence had been overlooked and that the Manchester police had coerced a confession from him. LaPointe was convicted of killing 88-year-old Bernice Martin back in 1987.
All new tonight at 5:30. People dealing with a sewage problem in one Southington neighborhood will get an update on the situation tomorrow night. Residents who live in the Stonegate Road area have been battling some backed up sewage for years. They say it happens a lot after spring rains that get pretty heavy. Tomorrow's meeting is set for 6:30 at the fire department headquarters on North Main Street.
Now that clock is ticking tonight, the tax clock, the tax filing clock. We're just hours away from the deadline, which is midnight tonight. And today a lot of last-minute filers were rushing over to the post office or grabbing a computer to go online to try to avoid any late penalties from the IRS. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Kim Lucy has a story what you can do if you still haven't filed yet.
Whether you're waiting in line to talk to a teller or maybe using the automated postal center in one of the lobbies, if you're using the mail to get your taxes in, has to be postmarked by today.
I owe the federal government money, and I didn't want to pay it early.
Reluctantly, Don Clues put his check in the mail to the federal government, beating that midnight tax deadline with plenty of time to spare. If you're sending in a paper return or check, a few post offices are still open with extended hours tonight to send in your return. The main post office on Brewery Street in New Haven will stay open until 6:30. But your latest chance is at the Bradley Airmail facility in Windsor Locks. They're open until 10 tonight.
And I just let it go, let it go, let it go. And so, of course, I was afraid I might have to pay as well, so I let it go longer. So here I am. I've got to get it done today.
Believe it or not, if you haven't started that return, tax preparers say there's still time to get it done. By e-filing, you can eliminate the trip to the post office, giving you all the way up to that midnight deadline.
It can take as little as like 15-20 minutes to do the return, so they can come in up until the last minute.
This Jackson Hewitt kiosk in the Hartford Walmart plans to stay open at least until 9 o'clock for last-minute filers. But if that's too soon to get your forms complete, make sure today you file an extension. That gives you until October 17th to get your return done. If you owe money to the IRS, pay it now with that extension, or else the penalties and interest can add up fast. In Hartford, Kim Lucy, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Told you Friday night about the Mission of Mercy, and more than 1,800 people were treated at the event. It's an emergency dental clinic for those without dental insurance. It happened in Waterbury at Wilby High School. Now, this is about 200 fewer patients than we're seeing last year, but still quite a good turnout. Several hundred dentists and other volunteers provided care to the poor and uninsured, and patients from as far away as South Carolina actually began lining up for this clinic on Friday night. Officials say they just did not have to turn away anyone this year.
A new report from the State Department of Labor finds the unemployment rate in Connecticut rose to 9.1% last month. That's a loss of about 6,000 jobs from February. But analysts say the state has added more than 21,000 jobs over the year, and that still points to growth.
All right, coming up here all new tonight at 5:30, a tractor trailer goes through a red light, and the result is caught on camera. My goodness, how police say it all unfolded.
Then this.
I don't know how other people are making it, but I'm running out of money.
It's been about a year since that massive oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. We'll tell you how the seafood business has been doing.
And we're tracking some rain moving toward Connecticut from the west, and this is just one of several waves that are going to keep our weather unsettled as we head through at least the middle part of the week. The latest on the timing and when the sun will return ahead in the early warning forecast.
The next couple of days won't be complete washouts, but wet weather will have an impact on us.
And that could mean slippery roads for your ride to work. We'll keep you posted with updates every 10 minutes.
And for all the breaking news that happened overnight.
Start your day with Eyewitness News beginning at 4:30.
Now we have some video here from China. Look at that truck, that tractor trailer going around a turn, and it tips over. It was going so fast, and it almost landed on that one fellow on a motorbike there, but he was able to get out of the way in time. My goodness. Police say the driver of the tractor trailer had obviously been speeding. We presume he was given a ticket there. We had circled that area over there where the truck was sliding, so you could see, and maybe you can't, but you could see the person on the motorcycle. That was our best effort to highlight that for you there. See the person on the motorbike gets out of the way just in time. Okay.
Well, in Maryland, a kayaker must be glad to be on dry land after getting trapped in a tree. Rescuers in Montgomery County think the woman lost control of her boat. In this canal here in Montgomery County, you can see her just clinging to the tree right through those branches. Crews were able to get her and her kayak safely to shore. Luckily, the woman was not seriously hurt.
Wednesday's going to mark 1 year since the BP oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, the biggest oil spill in U.S. history. It shut down hundreds of miles of fishing waters. Louisiana's $2.4 billion seafood industry is far from recovered. Recent testing showed no signs of contamination in fish, but oyster harvests are smaller, and orders from out-of-state customers have dropped. And while British Petroleum has paid out more than $3 billion in claims, some say they've received only a fraction of what they lost.
I had plans to, build this business up so I could turn it over to my son, and, I don't see that happening now.
Doesn't see that happening now. With shrimping season just getting underway, fishermen say the sea they depend upon for their livelihood is now like uncharted water.
They're using their phone as their clock, which is right next to them.
A local study says having your cell phone near your bed could be the reason for those sleepless nights. We'll tell you why.
Plus, new protections for people using the website Match.com. What the dating service has decided to do and why.
And let's take a look at the numbers on Wall Street. Not a great day after the S&P warns it might lower its rating on U.S. government debt. The Dow down 140, the NASDAQ dropped 29, the S&P 500 dipped 15.
Stay connected wherever you are. Get breaking news and severe weather alerts delivered right to your mobile phone or email inbox. Free subscriptions at WFSB.com. Wake up with Alessa Stepanova. Weekday mornings on Eyewitness News.
When you're in the dark at home, maybe checking over to the nightstand for a last-minute text message early in the morning or doing one last email check before you go to bed, you might be wondering why you're having those sleepless nights. Well, doctors in a new study are suggesting that it's the light from your cell phone that could be behind your insomnia. Channel 3's Irene O'Connor reports.
Someone's, twittering you and you have to, respond to it. It affects your sleep quality.
Dr. Greg Kolodner is the medical director at St. Mary's Sleep Center in Waterbury.
But they're using their phone as their clock, which is right next to them. So they'll wake up for 2 seconds in the middle of the night and look at their phone.
And according to the 2011 sleep study by the National Sleep Foundation, using technology before bedtime is taking a toll on your sleeping habits.
We've all had the experience where we've been doing a project or having a fun video game or watching a movie on our computer, and we think that we've been on for 15 or 20 minutes, and then we look at the clock in the right-hand corner and it's 90 minutes later.
Dr. Kolodner says exposing your eyes to bright light at such a close distance stimulates the brain and can throw off your body clock.
When it's 10:30 at night and you're exposed to a bright light source at a foot away from you, which is where most people view their computer screens, it causes your brain to interpret this as daytime. This was not as much a problem with televisions because most people watch their televisions at a distance.
Dr. Kolodner says there are rules to follow if you think your cell phone or laptop could be keeping you up at night.
Turn the brightness down, do it for as short a period of time as possible. Try not to confuse your brain that it's morning. It's really important that you have to ask yourself what's more important, a 2:30 email or a Facebook post or myself getting sleep. Is that Facebook post going to be there when I wake up in the morning? Yeah, it'll be there. I don't need to know about it or be interrupted about it.
Irene O'Connor, Channel 3, Eyewitness News.
We're told that about 95% of the people who the doctor talked to actually do check some type of electronic device in the hours right before bedtime. For more information on this, head to our website, WFSB.com. We've got a link up for you right on the homepage.
All right, Hallie, that's a great tip. Now, the singles website, Match.com, will now screen its users against the National Sex Offender Registry. This decision follows a lawsuit that was filed by a California woman last week, a woman who claims she was sexually assaulted by someone she'd met through the site. The company, Match.com, says it had considered such background checks for many years, but did not think that they were reliable enough. Apparently, now the company thinks it is. Now, fans of the Volkswagen Beetle today got their first glimpse of the new 2012 model. Yeah, you notice the different lines there. The designers gave it a flatter roof, narrower windows, and the Beetle no longer has that built-in flower vase on the dashboard. Oh. Does Scott know about this? These are the first changes made to the Beetle since 1998. And Volkswagen says it's just trying to appeal to more buyers, especially men.
All right, well, get ready to pay more for postage. The USPS says that starting Sunday, the cost of mailing parcels and magazines is going to go up. Rates for international mailing will also go up. Stamps will rise by a penny. One thing that won't change, though, are first-class stamps for letters under 1 ounce. That's going to stay at that 44 cents. The Postal Service is trying to recover from an $8.5 billion loss from last year.
Now, Channel 3 Early Warning Weather. Powered by Early Warning Pinpoint Doppler. Tracking weather in your town and everywhere in Connecticut.
So only some stamp prices are going up, not the 44 cent
forever stamp, the Liberty Bell.
If it's under an ounce, you still put the 44 cent stamp.
You're still good. You don't have to run to the post office and buy anything new.
But if it's a heavy envelope, then you're going to be paid.
Yeah.
And you have your Easter cards in the mail, hopefully, for your family and relatives that are not local.
That's right.
Getting there over the next couple of days. That's very good.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you know, by Easter, we're going to see a bit of a lull in this wet weather, but by the weekend, more is going to be on tap. So, not ideal conditions, but hopefully, you know, things can change between now and then. Lots of time, and we're in fact dealing with one round of rain currently moving through Connecticut. But before it got here, temperatures today warmed well into the upper 50s and lower 60s, especially inland, mid to upper 50s along the Connecticut coastline. So pretty close to what we refer to as average for this time of year. 62 in Hartford and 59 our high temperature today in New Haven. You can see our early warning pinpoint Doppler scanning within the cloud cover. Lots of greens and blues showing up here across the state, but a lot of this currently is not reaching the ground. It's evaporating as it reaches the surface, but that's going to be changing as we head through the course of the evening. Nothing too terribly heavy like we saw this weekend. Not looking at a lot of wind either, but we are going to see just on and off chances for rain as we head through the coming hours and into the early overnight time frame. So our city cam right now from New Milford showing extensive cloud cover, of course, in far west central Connecticut as we head toward Middletown. Dry roads currently there along Route 9, but the Connecticut River again in above flood stage there by about 4 feet. And our city cam from New Haven showing a pretty dreary looking scene currently on this Monday evening. So the umbrellas and the windshield wipers will be a necessity on and off at least through the middle part of the week. So you can see the cloud cover moving in. This is a loop back over the past 6 hours or so. More showers off to our west and even some yellows and oranges here popping up in north central Pennsylvania. So this is going to take a run at southern New England as we head through the coming hours. So maybe a heavier downpour here and there, but again, we're not going to see inches of rain like we saw Saturday and into early Sunday. And as we look off to the west, we have this stalled frontal boundary. So little waves of low pressure, little disturbances are going to ride along that. So this one that's moving through currently is going to exit overnight. We'll get a lull early tomorrow morning before this next one makes its way in tomorrow afternoon and evening. At the same time, this boundary is separating cool air that we're in right now, and temperatures tomorrow will actually be a little bit cooler than today. But to the south of that boundary, temperatures into the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Check out Dallas, temperatures there right at 90 degrees. So by Wednesday, we could see this frontal boundary push just to the north of Connecticut to where our temperatures could pop into the 60s, and then they go down just a little bit through the end of the week. So in our early warning futurecast, tomorrow's weather today, 7 o'clock this evening, showing some of that scattered rain activity off to our northwest, moving through southern New England, winding down. Again, a lull by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Several dry hours before that next round of rain moves in tomorrow afternoon and evening. And then by Wednesday, again, temperatures could go into the 60s with another chance of rain as a cold front eventually moves through. So tonight, looking for temperatures to only drop into the mid-40s statewide with that continued chance for some scattered showers. Tomorrow afternoon, cooler than today, only talking about highs in the lower to mid-50s. 54 for Hartford, 52 New Haven, around 52 for Torrington, and 53 for Willimantic. So on Wednesday, temperatures then inland could make it to around the mid-60s, but upper 50s with a southwesterly flow for the shoreline. Maybe even some thunder late in the day as a cold front moves through behind that. High pressure builds in for Thursday. Temperatures then in the upper 50s. Dry and comfortable with a mix of sun and clouds. And coming up on Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 6, we of course detail Friday and beyond into Easter and our next chance of rain. Unfortunately, again, the timing not good for the weekend.
Thank you, Mark. Golfers are putting to preserve parks in the capital city. That's one of the stories we have for you tonight as Eyewitness News goes everywhere, town by town. In Hartford, people teed off at Goodwin Park today, part of the city's Celebrating Our Parks initiative. It hopes to revive and preserve outdoor spaces. The city plans to put almost $10 million into the park system over the next 2 years. In Waterbury, city leaders are teaming up with local colleges and lawmakers to bring a nighttime bus service to the city. The Brass City is actually the only major city in the state without an evening service. Officials say the line could cost nearly $2.5 million. Eyewitness News is everywhere, town by town.
A one-of-a-kind token of Britain's royal wedding is now in the hands of someone from Connecticut. The Pez Candy Company, you know, Pez is made in orange, says someone in the state paid more than $13,000 for dispensers in the likenesses of Prince William and his fiancée, Kate Middleton. The company says the winning bid was one of 33 submitted. The winner is remaining anonymous, however. The company is donating the proceeds of the sale to a children's charity. And, oh, well, look at this. Is this Alfred Hitchcock or something? In South Florida, birds have been diving at people entering and leaving one of the banks in Hallandale. No one's been hurt, though. Most people are actually taking it in stride. Experts say these birds nested there a few years ago, and they go after humans probably because they see them as a possible threat to their babies. No one has tried to get rid of the birds because, you know, these particular birds, some kind of grackle, I guess, are a protected species.
Still ahead, all new tonight at 5:30.
City leaders getting a whole list of recommendations to make New London safer. I'm Kevin Hogan. We'll have this story coming up on Eyewitness News.
And then all new tonight at 6.
The price of a new car is expensive enough, but add to that 2 new taxes, which Governor Malloy wants to raise revenue, and customers say they'll go out of state.
Plus, an update on a water main break in Middletown, when people will start to get their full water pressure back. We'll have it for you live next.
Months ago, a young man was killed in New London and teenagers were arrested. They reportedly told police they did it because they were bored. Well, tonight, city leaders will hear one group's suggestions on how to make the city safer and a better place in which teens can grow up. Channel 3 New London Bureau Chief Kevin Hogan live at the mobile newsroom with this story. Kev?
Al, the same city commission, the 20 members, are going to make a recommendation in about an hour of a lot of things, including a request for about $75,000 for teen program. Also high on their list is a suggested curfew. Meanwhile, the teens are asking for more sports programming. The London City Fathers will get a lesson tonight on what steps they can take to curb youth violence.